Yo, what is good YouTube? It's the Deli, back with another Destiny 2 Onslaught build video, and today we're going to take a look at my Arc Hunter. In this build, we're going to be able to get our super back extremely fast, and our super is going to do a ton of damage. We're also going to create so much orbs that we're going to have a constant 22% buff on our arc weapons because our weapon surges are going to be up at all times. Let's take a look at the build. Alright, now taking a look at the build, the exotic armor of choice is going to be the Star Eater Scales. Star Eater Scales armor perk is Feast of Light. You gain additional super energy from orbs of power you pick up. While your super energy is full, picking up an orb of power overcharges your super, causing you to gain a burst of healing when cast and a bonus to your super damage. At maximum overcharge, you also gain an overshield. These are a very strong option for Onslaught because we're going to be creating a ton of orbs, which is going to get us our super back faster, and when we overcharge it, it can be overcharged up to ×4. So when it's overcharged ×1, you get 27.3% added to your super damage. When you have ×2, Feast of Light is 54.6% damage to your super, 62.3 for 3 stacks of Feast of Light, and a 70% damage increase when you have max stacks of Feast of Light. This allows your super to hit like an absolute truck, and we're going to be getting it back constantly, so we're going to be able to spam it throughout Onslaught. So we're going to be pairing the Star Eater Scales with the exotic Sidearm Trespasser. I really used this sidearm for PvP a lot, and I decided to give it a shot in PvE, and I was very surprised. Its intrinsic trait is Unrepentant. Reloading after defeating a target causes the next burst to be longer, more powerful super burst. Its trait is Be the Danger. Final blows with Unrepentant super burst automatically reload your weapon and provide another super burst. So this is actually very strong in Onslaught. Once you get that super burst going, you'll just chain kills over and over. And since we're going to have constant weapon surges active, we're going to have 22% damage added on top of that. This thing absolutely chunks, and you'd be surprised with how many super bursts you can just chain over and over. Alright, now taking a look at the super abilities, aspects, and fragments. For the super, we're going to be on Gathering Storm. This paired with Star Eater Scales, this does a bunch of damage, and it also sticks to chunkier enemies, doing damage over time. This is a very strong option. For our abilities, we're going to be on Gambler's Dodge. This is going to pair very well with our melee of choice, Combination Blow. We're going to be able to chain that melee over and over again, and we also get up to 3 stacks of Combination Blow, making our melee ability even stronger. For our jump, this is preference, I'm just on triple jump. For our grenade of choice, I like the pulse grenade. It does damage periodically over time, and I feel like it does a pretty good amount of damage. For our aspects, our first aspect of choice is going to be flow state. Defeating a jolt to target makes you amplified. While you are amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. This is nice. It's going to buff our reload speed for our Trespasser, our heavy machine gun, and we're going to be amplified constantly, so this is a very strong aspect. For our second aspect of choice, we're going to be on Lethal Current. After dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. So we're going to be able to cause blind here, which is going to stun unstoppable champions, and we're going to be able to apply jolt, which is going to proc our first aspect, flow state, making us amplified. So you can see the synergy here. We're going to have increased reload speed, we're going to be zooming around the battlefield, we're going to be able to stun overload champions with jolt, and we're going to have our dodge ability up really fast. These are very strong aspects paired together. Now taking a look at the fragments, our first fragment of choice is going to be Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb of power. Since we're going to constantly be amplified, we are going to become an orb of power like generator. We're going to create tons of orbs, we're going to constantly have our weapon surges up, and we're going to create orbs of power for our teammates as well, and for our Star Eater Scales. So you can see the synergy here. We're going to create tons of orbs and get that super back really fast and overcharge it. Our second arc fragment is going to be Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. This is really nice because since we're going to be on a sidearm, we're going to be pretty up close and personal, and we're going to be using that melee as well. So this is just added damage resist on top. For our third arc fragment, we're going to be using Spark of Shock. Our arc grenades are going to be able to jolt targets, so this is going to be another way to get us amplified. And for our final arc fragment, we're going to be using Spark of Feedback. Taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. This is also a +10 to resilience. That's really the only reason I'm running it. You could sub this out for something else, but this is also nice because you can get, you know, some extra melee damage when we get that combination blow chain going. Now let's take a look at our weapons of choice. We're going to be using a Riptide in the kinetic slot. I have auto loading and chill clip. This is really nice. I'll be able to stun overload champions with slow, and I'll be able to stun stoppable champions when we freeze and shatter them. A very solid choice for the kinetic slot. We already went over our sidearm of choice. We're going to be using the Trespasser exotic. And for our heavy slot, I am going to be using a Song of Iryu with reconstruction and sword logic. This is a really nice option. There's so many chunky boss enemies that you'd be surprised how easy you can get sword logic ×4 and just chain it. This does a ton of damage to chunkier enemies. And when I get to the boss room, I will swap my Trespasser for an Indebted Kindness, and I will change my Song of Iryu to a Thunderlord. Thunderlord is just free, easy damage, not a lot of thought to it. I like to just throw that super and then just go to town with my Thunderlord. And sometimes I even like to get a kill with my Indebted Kindness to proc Volt Shot and shoot the boss so I can apply Jolt to him. Very strong combo. Now, some other options for damage in the boss room if you don't have Thunderlord is the Storm Chaser Linear Fusion Rifle. This is obtainable from the Duality Dungeon. You could also use a Fine Memorial for the Ad Clear section if you don't have a Fang of Iryu. You can get this from doing moon bounties from the lectern, I believe, next to Eris Morn on the moon. And then another good option if you have a Warlock who's using Xenotaph is the Crux Termination. This is a really good rocket. It is a world drum at the moment, so it is a little harder to obtain. But if you do have a great roll and you're running with a Xenotaph Mask Warlock, this is a good rocket to run in this build for boss room and Ad Clear. Alright, now taking a look at the armor mods. On our helmet, we're going to be using one Harmonic Siphon, Rapid Arc Weapon Final Blows create an Orb of Power. We're going to create a ton of orbs, just spamming the Trespasser and its Super Shot. And the final two mods I'm going to be running are two Font of Wisdoms. You could sub this in for something like Ashes to Assets or Hands On to get those melee kills and get super energy. But I like Font of Wisdom because since we're going to be creating a ton of orbs, I'm going to constantly have Font of Wisdom procced, and each one of these gives +30 to my intellect. So since I have two of these, I'm going to get a +70, which is going to put me at 100 intellect. So this is going to help me get my super back even faster with my Star Eater skills. For the gauntlets, I'm going to be running one Impact Induction. Causing damage with my powered melee reduces my grenade cooldown. This is nice because my melee is going to do big damage, especially when I have combination blow ×3. I'm going to be running one fastball. This isn't really necessary. I just needed to fill the space. Just increases your grenade throw distance. And I'm going to be running one firepower. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. This is nice because your grenade does do a pretty good amount of damage, and it's going to be jolting targets as well. So this is just another way to create some orbs. On our chest armor, this is always preference. I have a concussive dampener, a solar resist, and a void resist, but I like to change this according to the threat in the activity I am playing. On our Star Eater scales, I'm running triple arc weapon surge. This is going to give me a 22% buff on all my arc weapons. It's going to allow my Fang of Iryu, my Thunderlord, my Trespasser to do really big damage. But you could sub one of these arc weapon surges off for a recuperation R, a better already, to get some extra healing. But I find 3 arc weapon surges to work just fine. On our Hunter Cloak, I'm going to be running one Bomber. It reduces my grenade cooldown when I'm dodging. I'm going to be running one Font of Restoration. This is going to give me a +30 to my recovery, so I'm going to be sitting at 62 recovery instead of 32. And I'm going to be running one Time Dilation. When I have Armor Charge, it's going to allow my Armor Charge to last even longer. So I'll have that Arc Weapon Surge up longer. I'll have both my Font mods up longer. Just really, really nice mods. Alright, now here's a quick summary of the build. You can see all my armor mods right here. You can see my stat distribution over here. I like to prioritize resilience and discipline in this build. Mobility isn't as important since we're going to be running combination blow, getting our dodge back anyway. And the artifact mods don't really matter too much. There's not really any arc focus mods, but I will say that Wished into Being is one that you want to run. While your super is nearly fully charged, ability Final Blow spawns orbs of power. So this is going to spawn like 3 orbs and top off your super. So this pairs really nice with Star Eater scales. Here is the drip check for the build. You can see the armor pieces I used and the shaders. Our shader, I should say. I have been using Super Black a lot on all my armor sets. Alright, now that's going to be it for the build. If you try this build out and liked it, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more Destiny 2 Onslaught build videos coming very soon. I will have the dim link for this build down in the description below. Thanks again for watching the video. My name's The Deli, and peace.